Welcome back everyone. So I've just spent the past 4 days up in Northwest Wyoming. That's where I'm working for the summer. And for those 4 days, I've been pondering the different ideas that I had for this high top interior build out. It seems like whenever I have a great idea on what to do to this van, I like to change it because I'm very indecisive. If you're just tuning in, my name is Sebastian and this is my 1985 Volkswagen van again. I just installed a high top on it in the last video. You could check that out here. But when we did that, we only glued the top onto the van, securing it permanently. And I could say one thing, after the glue has now fully dried, it's never coming off and it's definitely never leaking. So in today's video, since the high top is already installed, we're going to be doing a full high top interior build out. And we're going to be starting with something called furring strips.
Furring strips are thin pieces of wood used to create a level surface, or they could be used to raise one surface above another.
I was originally going to use these for my furring strips. They're 1x2, I'm not even sure what wood they are, but this was a test strip that I glued down last week and it had since popped off. I used liquid nails and it was way too long because after pushing this up against the hard top, it was under a lot of pressure, so the center of it came off really easily. The ends were still glued on, but after pulling on it a little bit, the whole strip came off. So after doing some research while I was out at work up in Wyoming, I came up with Ponderosa pine. This is what I'm going to be using for the furring strips in the van. However, I'm going to be cutting it into smaller pieces so there is no tension on it, and I'm going to be using this heavy duty construction adhesive ultimate whatever. I've heard this stuff works really well on fiberglass and wood. And before I even do that, I'm going to be sanding down the surface of the high top on the inside so it gives it something to grab onto. I'm going to be accomplishing that with one of these. It's just one of those abrasive wheels you can get at Harbor Freight.
Okay, full disclosure, this is extremely time consuming, so I only ground down these few sections.
So I've made some very rough estimates on where exactly I want the furring strips. I'm going to be doing them in small 6-inch sections. So I've been thinking about this a lot. If I glued longer strips to the side panel of the fiberglass, I just don't want this to come off ever. I want to be able to glue it up there and it not fall down the first washboard road I go down. I tend to live on public lands, which are mainly dirt roads and whatnot, so I want to be able to glue these up and allow them to be able to flex and not just rip off, because if one of these rips off, then I'm going to have a bunch more hopefully holding it on and I'm not going to be able to see it, and hopefully it won't rattle. I could already hear you guys type it away in the comment section below saying, no, don't do it that way. That's going to be way too much work. It's going to suck. And you guys are definitely right because, well, as you can see here, it's already done. I'm not sure how they were going to turn out, but I glued them all up there and let them sit overnight, and then glued a little bit more on this morning, and those are just drying up now. I put a little bit more sound deadening kill mat on there, and we're getting to the stage where we're going to start installing the insulation. I'm thinking about installing the insulation pretty much everywhere, and then over these strips I'll install one strip that goes across periodically so I could screw into that. And it will also help hold up the insulation. But just on the roof here, you'll see.
The insulation I've chosen for this build out is the 3M Thinsulate acoustic insulation. SM600L. It's 1.5 inches thick. I think maybe this stuff is a little bit more. I'm not too sure, but the only reason I'm going with this is because my friend Alex built out his Sprinter van and had a lot left over. And I'm not going to turn down free insulation. And as you can see here, the larger pieces went on fairly easily after spraying the Gorilla Glue on the high top itself and then pressing up the 3M Thinsulate. However, once I got to the smaller pieces to fill in all the nooks and crannies, that's when things got a little bit more interesting.
Well, I ended up staying up way too late last night trying to finish this insulation, and like I said, it was just that 3M glue and I just put this Thinsulate on the wall, but filling in all of the little nooks and crannies here took so much more time than I was anticipating, but I got 3/4 of the roof done. And the only reason for that is because I ran out. I came just short of finishing this insulation job, so I need that much more and a little bit more to fill in some more of the little nooks and crannies like right here. But I think for now it'll be fine, and I could probably move on to the next step without having to wait on more of the 3M Thinsulate to come in the mail. Now I can use some of my leftover furring strips and make those horizontal strips for the roof. And I went over to Lowe's just to get an idea of what I want my ceiling to be, and I came up with this idea. These are just like decorative planks, tongue and groove, and these are some sort of pine. I was originally going to do cedar, but all of the cedar that they had at Lowe's yesterday was in really bad condition. So I got a bunch of these, and I'm going to be trying to come up with something that looks halfway decent. And for this area, so I'm going to have like a cabinet partition right here, so you're not going to be able to see anything back there when the cabinet's closed, and I'm not going to do all that work to the inside of this huge storage area. I'm just going to do these pine planks for the living space right here, and I'll probably have another cabinet right here as well. So today I'm going to be focusing on just this middle square. There we have it. The first board is in. It went pretty smoothly, but I've got a lot of work to do, and lining all these up, I'm sure there's a really good way to do it, but with all the screw holes, some like these are a little bit more inset than these ones, but we're good. By the time I get to this side, they're gonna be perfect. This is looking way better than I thought it would. Check it out. After a long 3 days of getting these furring strips up and the insulation in there, and now eventually spending hours on this little square ceiling, I had no idea how much work this was gonna be. But I'm gonna have to wrap things up now. I've got to drive 4.5 hours from Salt Lake City, Utah, that's where I currently am, all the way back up to Northwest Wyoming because I've got to go to work tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. And I do want to make it up there and be able to sleep. It's currently 1 o'clock, or just shy of 1 o'clock. 12:30, perfect. I'm gonna leave at 1 and make it back up there with plenty of time to spare. And it's a good thing I didn't get this completely finished today, because now I could spend a week at work and rip around the dirt roads of Northwest Wyoming and see what all falls off. Well, ideally, in a perfect world, nothing will fall off. Everything's gonna be perfect, and I'm not gonna ever have to worry about the roof ever again. As far as the glue and the furring strips go, we'll see. I have no idea. All I've done was read a bunch of forum posts from Econoline groups, because they're the ones that build out vans. There's not a lot of write-ups on the Samba about the high top build out. So I'm gonna be testing out the Gorilla Glue holding up the 6-inch furring strips. I am realizing now that I went way overboard with furring strips, like I said before. I've got plenty to work with, and maybe in the future I could add cabinets or at least a shelf up there, but I think for now I'm gonna leave it how it is. Next week I'll probably put a board on the walls in the front and back and finish off the pine planks for the main ceiling, the main centerpiece, you know. I'm not too worried about the furring strips because I did a little test and put all of my body weight on a couple of them, and they did not budge. Maybe a little bit stupid of me to do that, but I'd rather them fall down right now than when I'm driving miles and miles off the gnarliest washboard road I could find. So for now, I'm gonna wrap this up and clean up Alex's driveway before I head out of here. I'm all packed up. I'm going to hit the road because it's a long drive. It's a short drive, but it's a long drive. And I've got everything squared away inside of the van. It's all going to come crashing down one of these days when I'm camped out. So we'll see what happens. I'm actually kind of excited that I'm gonna be able to test my furring strips and the partial ceiling that I have up there already before going full send and permanently mounting everything else. So yeah. Oh, by the way, I got new tires. Look, check this out. I only needed to get 2 tires because I just used my spare tires and rotated them in on the front. Got the new tires on the back, looking good. This thing drives so much more quiet, surprisingly, because the old Toyota tires that I had on there before, they were all not wearing in the correct way because my alignment sucks. Always Volkswagen, Vanagon. Anyway, with that being said, I'll see you guys to finish off this build out next week.